Hey everyone, it's Tom from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got the Hyundai Ioniq 6 for the week, thanks to Hyundai Australia. Got the press car loan, and I'm looking forward to bringing you the best parts of this car in my review coming up, so stay tuned. And with 100% state of charge when I picked up the car, it has projected that I will get 488 kilometers on normal drive mode. So I'm looking forward to bringing you the results of my real-world urban and highway range test drives. Hey everyone, good morning. First morning here with Hyundai Ioniq 6, and I thought I'd just take you on a drive this morning on the M2 motorway here in Sydney, and just give you an idea what it's like to drive one of these eGMP cars. Good thing about the eGMP platform, which both Kia and Hyundai use worldwide for their electric vehicles, is that once you've driven one, you've pretty much driven them all in terms of their handling, the ease of use, the regen braking, the cruise control. All those things are all very similar across all the cars. And I think apart from Tesla vehicles, I think the eGMP platform is the second most number of times I've driven any particular type of vehicle after Tesla. So I've driven a couple of Hyundai Ioniq 5s, Kia EV6s a couple of times, Genesis, and now the Hyundai Ioniq 6, courtesy of both Kia and Hyundai. So I'm very thankful to both brands for lending me their vehicles to drive. So yeah, let's run through it now, just to show you what it's like. So on the urban road now, you can actually adjust the level of regen braking with these paddles here on my left and right hands here. So that puts I pedal on, which is essentially one pedal driving. And then if you don't like regen braking, which is, for those who don't know, it's the process of recuperating kinetic energy back into the battery, and that also slows the vehicle down as well. So you can go to level 2, level 1. Okay, so you've got to be pretty much driving to set these conditions. They are very strict with how much you can adjust when you're not actually driving. So if you put to level 0, that's essentially an ICE car or ICE automatic vehicle with no regen, and you're just cruising the whole time. So I like it generally around level 3. I find the iPedal good. It can be a bit harsh at times. So level 3 is kind of a good compromise. What else can I tell you? So we'll run through the car itself with a detailed walk around later in my review, but we'll go through other things during the drive. So right hand indicate, being a car from Asia. We've got the gear paddles, or the gear shift is the knob down here, or is a dial down here, which I quite like. That saves up room down here in the drive or in the center console. Other vehicles I've seen with knobs down here, so I think what do you call it, paddle or a shift here is good. Save space. Wipers on the left, they are rain sensing. And yeah, so center screen is the infotainment system, which those of you who follow my channel and have seen other eGMP car reviews, I personally don't quite like the setup they've got. It's just a bit, I don't know, it's hard to find stuff. It's just a personal thing, I know. I'm sure if you've driven this car long enough, you'll probably get used to it, which is why I generally plug in my Apple device to access Apple CarPlay, and I do like using Waze for those who follow my channel. You know, it's good for, it's a user-populated system platform. It shows you hazards, police patrols, you know, other things on the road that you should be aware of when you're driving. So I quite like Waze. One of the main reasons why I don't like using the native infotainment system is because if you use the nav, for example, if I go back to the main screen, if I go back to Hyundai, if I say I want to navigate to, by the way, you can press nav down here as well, and some of these buttons we'll go through later. But if I say I want to go to like somewhere like Melbourne, right? I know it's a long way away, but let's just say I had Melbourne, Victoria down here. You got to go through a couple of, you know, buttons to get there, rather than just saying yes. It's gonna help you get there. See, all it says is charging is required to reach the destination. Search for EV charging station. This doesn't actually integrate the battery, you know, state of charge of the car into the nav or the map, which is quite a bit odd because it's an EV, right? You kind of need to know where to stop, where to charge. So you got to plan your own way. So all this does is really, it's just a navigation, like any other navigation system. So yeah, not integrated, so that's why I don't generally use it. Yeah, that's one reason. So hence I go back to, hence I do like going back to just the Waze, which is what I use. There we go, Apple CarPlay, there. Okay, so we're about to hit the M2 and we might do a little highway range test. We'll do a full urban range test at the end of this video, but a highway range test today. So we're on currently 90% state of charge. Odometer says 3,756 kilometers. So we will do the maths when we get to our destination and then back again at the same point in time to give you an idea what it's like to travel at 100 kilometers an hour on the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And then when we're on the freeway, we will play a little bit with cruise control and leading car settings. Just a few notes about the screen here. So one good thing about the controls here on the steering wheel is you can control the drive cluster. As you can see, the blind spot monitor on the right, when you indicate right, and then left is the same thing. So it turns up on the right there, on the left, sorry, on the right. So screens here, we've got information from the drive. So we've got after recharging, I haven't touched this yet and I won't be doing so until I finish this urban range test. And then you can adjust what information you want here. So we've got accumulated information, then the drive information for this particular drive from this morning. And you can switch between menus using this button here. That's the compass, that's the motors and the regen braking. And you can see how much torque, relatively speaking, via graphic form, each motor is producing, whether it be the front or the back. Let's do a bit of an acceleration test here. We'll do a proper one probably later. I'm not putting my foot to the floor, but already you see how quickly this goes up. This is an all-wheel drive Epiq variant, so it goes very quickly indeed. Okay, yeah, those warning things I'm trying to get rid of, because it's not always accurate. As you can see, I'm already on the freeway, so it's picking up old speed signs. Of course, one thing I should note is, the new digital side mirrors. I've had a few iterations of the EGMP side mirrors in the past, so this is the third time I've seen this in Hyundai or Genesis. I have used the Hyundai Ioniq 5 Epiq variant, which also had the mirrors. They were more kind of like the screens were kind of more detached from the rest of the console. And same with the Genesis, the screens were kind of up here. But with the Ioniq 6, it's interesting, they've kind of integrated it with the rest of the dash, right? So it feels like it's more part of the dash. It's also tilted more at this angle, which is odd. It's looking like at the driver at a very flat angle, but now it's very steep, looking into the cabin more. I can still see okay, the vision's really good still. Very high definition. You can move it around a bit. Like for example, let me just show you. You can and one thing too, the dials are down here below the steering wheel. They've moved it, so you can move it like that. But I think it's still a static camera. You're just moving moving where the camera or parts of the picture, which is probably bigger like there. Anyway, a small detail. Notice too when you reverse the picture largens to help you. Yeah, all the controls used to be down here on the armrest, but now they've moved them down here in the middle, or below the steering wheel, which is a bit hard to see, but that's okay. We'll go through that in a full review. All right, so they're the side mirrors. I like the ones on the left here. The angle is very helpful because I can actually see quite well from the passenger side mirror, digital wing mirror. It's good for augmented reality too. When you're changing lanes, for example, watch this. You can see whether you're changing safely because you've got these, I don't know whether you can see that on the vision. You've got orange and red markers to show you that yes, you are merging correctly or merging appropriately. It's safe enough to do so. And same when you merge back as well. Okay, so let's go through cruise control. And sorry about the road condition. That's the M2 motorway for you. We'll talk about suspension in a second. So let's cruise control is this button here. Actually, we'll finish the menu. So one more thing. Yeah, so that's the picture of the drive currently. It's not a real-time picture like in the Tesla. The car is just stuck in that position rather than it being in real time. And then you can roll through. Okay, that's it. We've done that already. Okay. And then tire pressures. Oh, okay, a bit too quick there. Slow down a bit. Okay, so if I want to set cruise control, I press this button here. And there we go. I'm going at 100 kilometers an hour now, which is the speed limit of this road. And if you want to follow, set the follow distance for the leading car, you just use this button here. It tells you I'm on distance 4, distance 3, distance 2, distance 1. We'll go distance 1. And then you've got lane control, lane keeping, and auto steer. And those of you who follow my channel, knowing that I am not super confident of the quote-unquote autopilot, auto steer function in the eGMP platforms. It's good, but not great. It does veer a little bit at times, and it can sometimes cut out. So just be careful. I'm probably not as confident in this platform as I am with the Tesla autopilot. I still think that's the market leader for level 2 autonomy at this stage in Australia. But nevertheless, I still keep my hands on the wheel, of course, eyes on the road at all times. You can see it's got radar there. Not radar, sorry. It's got ultrasonic sensors to show that there is a car in my blind spot, and now moving up next to me there. More information in the drive cluster. We've got state of charge 88%, graphic indicator showing that. Temperature in Celsius. You've got the efficiency of the car, 18.2. At this stage, is looking a bit better than the Kia EV6 GT. That was probably closer to... Oh, this guy is cutting way too close in front of me. Yeah. Not happy with that. Yeah, efficiency of 18.2. Aston Martin. 18.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Yeah, the EV6 GT was probably closer to 20. 18 is more like the other eGMP cars. You've got the odometer there, and then you've got the powertrain indicator here. So if I'm using the battery to move, and I'll just put this screen up here. So see that? It's mostly when I'm cruising on the freeway, it's using rear differential motors, which is normal for most all-wheel drive electric vehicles that I've seen. Rear is preferential, preferred. If you're like using more torque like this, then the fronts kick in. See that? Then when you go back to cruise, then the rears remain, and you see that recuperation a little bit as the energy goes back into the battery. So if I just let go of cruise like that, see that? How it's gone back down, right? So that's in the regen area. Just put cruise back on. Just a little demonstration for you there. Okay, so I'm set on 86 kilometers an hour. If I want to scroll up, I can do that Y1, or I can just hold to 100 kilometers an hour. There we go. Okay, so it's powertrain. Then you've got the projected range left, 411 kilometers on 88% state of charge left. Speedometer on the left. You've got the drive gears there. The last seen posted speed sign, 100 kilometers an hour. Auto steer, lane keeping, and then the lights are on at the moment. I've got it on actually. I should put it back on auto. I was filming a bit earlier before. Yeah, see that's annoying. It picks up the surface speed signs, and then I don't know how to get rid of the warnings. I tried reducing it. I can get rid of it altogether, but then I like to see the speed limit too. So I don't know. There's not quite a compromise yet. I'll play with it a bit more. Okay, so that's the drive cluster. We'll go through the screen infotainment menu when I'm stationary later. And yeah, so let me talk a bit about the suspension at this stage. So yeah, a lot of talk around EVs and suspension. Given the huge battery, of course, the skateboard design for most EVs, that does sometimes affect the suspension, makes it quite firm. Model Y, Tesla has copped some criticism for the firm suspension. I think over the times I have tested the Model Y, from the time it landed in Australia to now with our ownership of the Y, it has improved. I can't officially confirm that for you, but I feel like it has. The suspension has improved, particularly because we've done a road trip already. This car honestly is, it's not super soft either. It's also firm, in my opinion. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle. This road's not great either, I know. It's certainly not floaty. I don't really like floaty type vehicles on the highway. This is firm enough for me. You can hear the bumps on the road. I also think it's to do with the tires. You can see a lot of the tires these days in EVs are very low profile. You're running at 40, 45s, 50 if you're lucky. So that ratio of the wall to the width of the tire is lower than some of the high profile tires out there. That probably does affect suspension as well. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is, whether to tune it or make it higher profile tires. Just a comment. I think it's really very subjective. I don't mind the firmness too much. It's not terrible. And once you see when we get to the other part of the highway, that does improve. All right, I think that's all I want to speak about at the moment with with the drive information. As I said, if you've driven one eGMP car, you've driven them all. At the moment, they're very similar. And someone did ask me to do a nighttime vision test, particularly in relation to the wing mirrors, the digital wing mirrors. So I will do that on the drive back after work when it's a bit darker, and we'll see whether it's any good in the dark. You can see too, in this early sun, there is a bit of glare on the road from the rising sun, and that's okay. I can still, the quality of the cameras are so good that it doesn't really matter too much. I can still make out the lane markings pretty well, so not a big issue at this stage. So we'll certainly catch it at twilight, at nighttime, at dusk, later on in this drive. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. As you can see, the road has improved a bit now. We'll just see, nope, it hasn't. Maybe after this underpass, I think it does. I'll just keep it rolling for now. I'm pretty sure after this underpass, it does improve. Let me just see, everyone. So stay with me for one moment. Yeah, this road's been like this for a long time, so can't do much about that, unfortunately. Okay, so let me see. Okay, still no good. Maybe past this area. I still want to keep looking out, by the way. I'm still not quite used to digital side mirrors. Maybe I'm just showing my age, but I still keep wanting to look out of my mirror, or my window, to look at the mirrors, and all I see is a camera. Here we go, nice road. So, I mean, if you've got a nice road, any car's going to sound good, right? But yeah, certainly it's fine on the freeway going at 96. It's not firm at this point. It's pretty good, actually, pretty smooth. All right, everyone, I'll catch you on the return journey, and we'll further our highway range test, talk about the nighttime vision for the wing mirrors, wing digital mirrors. Stay tuned, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Hey, everyone. It's definitely at the end of the day. Many hours have passed, and yeah, we're just coming up to the end of this part of the range test. And I've been traveling about 100 kilometers an hour on the freeway here. It's now currently 81% state of charge, 3,700, and I'll just hold off a little bit because we're just reaching the traffic light up there, and that's basically where I started the day today. Okay, so reaching the red light. All right, so 81% state of charge, 3,798 kilometers. So I'll do the maths on that. We might even do another range test because that was relatively short. So we might do another long drive later this week on our test. Yeah, here are the cameras at nighttime. I'll just twist them around for you. That's the driver's side one. There we go. On my side, and then the passenger side, there's a car coming there. So you can see that it's not too bad, actually. The quality's still really good, and there's hardly any glare. I'll just turn on this side so you can see the driver's side again. So yeah, I think, they're pretty good quality. They're fine. Even with the lights, you can see there, it's a little bit of glare, but not terrible, not affecting vision at all. And what I love about the Ioniq 6 at nighttime too, in fact, all the eGMP cars are pretty good at this, but particularly the Hyundai's, Ioniq 5 and 6, the lighting is fantastic. It just highlights the detail and the trim of these vehicles. That's something that I think Hyundai does really well. The eGMP cars do really well over Tesla, for example. The lighting, the detail, just the small things are done really well. And have a look at the side as well, just show you. If you can see my driver's side there, look at that. Love this detail here on the side here underneath the door handle. And the door bins are lit really well too, so I'm very impressed. Very impressed with how well they are done. Yeah, so very happy indeed. And yeah, have a look also at the glove box too. Have a look at this. Look, that's all well lit too, right? Beautiful. All right, everyone, that ends this part of the test. We'll catch up later for the next part when we do a walk around and possibly another test, range test as well. All right, so the good thing about eGMP cars is that they do give you some statistics, and this particular menu here tells you how much you've driven after recharging. So I haven't actually charged the vehicle since I received it at 100% state of charge. So with 8% of the battery left over there, we've got 33 kilometers left. with 8%. I've driven 370.5 kilometers on 92% of the battery, and efficiency of 17.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, or 176 watt hours per 100 kilometers. And because I do need a bit more range tomorrow to get around the day, I will start charging the car tonight. So if you add what I've driven to the projected range, then you could probably get pretty close to 400 kilometers with 100% of the battery, because I did receive the car with 100% battery. And why did I drive less than the projected range initially of for 400 kilometers? Because I think it's been quite cold this week, so I think the range did drop with the cold weather, and that's what you can expect with most EVs. The range does drop with cold weather particularly. But nevertheless, close to 400 kilometers of range, or maybe just a bit over, with the 100% of the battery of this Hyundai Ioniq 6 Epiq variant. And the good thing about this car is that you can schedule the charging. So I do get cheap electricity between midnight and 4 a.m. So I put it on scheduled charging coming on at 12 midnight. I'm only going to charge for 2 hours because I want to do a fast charge test as well. So we'll drop the battery down to below 20% to get that peak charge rate for you guys. And you can also limit your DC charging and AC charging limits. So I'm going to limit to 50% for AC charging just for tonight. And I've just plugged in my Tesla Gen 3 wall connector into the Ioniq 6 charge port right there. You can hear the car saying charging is commencing. And at the wall, blue light for the Tesla Gen 3 wall connector means that scheduled charging is working for the Ioniq 6 as well. So that's good to see that the Tesla wall connector is compatible with the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and actually all other eGMP platform cars as well that I've tested in the past. And the car also says waiting to charge, scheduled time Wednesday midnight, which is, in a couple of hours time. I should say too that for this range test, I've been driving mostly on normal mode and also mostly on urban roads as well, apart from that short stint on the freeway for this range test. Okay, so it's the next morning, and yes, unplugged vehicle to start, and the car has charged to 37%, which is exactly what I wanted, 2 hours of charging, and we have 157 kilometers remaining with that amount of range, 37%, which is perfect. That means the Tesla Gen 3 wall connector worked, as well as the scheduled charging for the Ioniq 6. Okay, so let's unplug the vehicle, literally just slip it out, and we're done. There we go, 156 kilometers remaining with 37% state of charge. All right, so let's do a walk around of the exterior and also have a look around of the interior as well of the Hyundai Ioniq 6 Epiq variant. So starting from the front here, I'm going to comment on the styling, and I'm still unsure of how to or what to think of the styling. I think they must have taken some cues from Porsche, because the front very much looks like a Boxster, a Porsche Boxster, and possibly even a Model 3 as well, but certainly a lot more detail around the lights, around the front. No grille, which is great. I don't like grilles on electric vehicles, but certainly more detailed than the Tesla at the front. And then as we walk around the sides here, actually let's go this way, a bit more light on this side. Let's have a look at the tires to start with. So these are Pirelli tires. They are 245, P0, and they are 245, 40, 20 inch. So they're huge wheels for a car this size. So 40 profile, so pretty low profile tires. And they've got this elect badging here, and then this sort of P and CS, like with the mute symbol. So I think they're designed for electric vehicles, these tires. They're meant to be quieter, probably into less noise into the cabin as well. So as we walk around, we've got digital side mirrors. We've talked about this already. There we go there. I mean, digital side mirrors, I'm still kind of getting used to it. I mean, I suppose it's meant to be more aerodynamic, but they still stick out a little bit. So I don't know if they can improve that, make it even more low profile one day. But I think they're certainly on the right track if they want to make cars more aerodynamic. As we keep walking around the side of the car, you can see the door handles are flush when they're locked. So let me just shut the door here. I'll just show you, or lock the door rather. See how they're flush with the car. And you can see the side mirrors sort of folding in there. And when you unlock, they open out like that. A quick note about the key fob as well. Have a look at this. It's a tablet pill shaped. And a quick comment about the car as well, car colour rather. If I show you the press car tag, says Ioniq 6 Gravity Gold, and then the number plate. So it's actually gold in colour. I actually thought this car was silver, but in some shades, in some lighting, you can see a bit of a gold tinge there, so I can see what they're getting at. All right, so let's keep walking around the car. And also it's a matte finish too, so it's quite nice to touch. Probably easy to clean too. Okay, so I said it was kind of like Porsche from the front, Porsche Boxster, but from the back, if we give a 3/4 shot maybe, I reckon it looks more like a 911 from the back. So again, I don't know whether they have used Porsche for styling, but it certainly looks like very 911-esque from the back, Porsche Boxster on the front. And then coming back to the back here, you can see that the angle of the back runs off really quickly. Like it really dips down very quickly, right? So it's very steep at the back. That probably does help with aerodynamics as the airflow comes out the back there. So that's probably what they were aiming for, I would say. And it's very much sedan-like, rather than like most SUVs these days, which are kind of boxier, right? So this is very much sedan-like. And I think this will probably compete more with the Model 3 because it is more of a sedan. I'm looking at the lights again, so a bit more detail, and this is very reminiscent of the Ioniq 5 with the LED lights. So they've sort of kept that motif there, and the Ioniq 6 badging across the back there. And because it's such a steep runoff for the back of the car, the boot button's actually here. They put the button there. It's probably too low to put it down there, but if I just open this boot here, let me unlock the car first. So let me unlock the boot, there we go. So it's not a lift gate, so it's like very much a sedan opening with that mouth, very much like the Model 3. In terms of storage space, it is quite deep inside there. We'll go through the dimensions comparing it to Tesla, but I think our Model 3, or previous Model 3, had a deeper storage than this. It certainly had an underfloor area, but this one doesn't really. I mean, it's got a little bit of a storage there, but not a lot. So, not as well finished too under there. Access to the charge port in that corner. I don't see a 12-volt plug. No, I don't. Okay. These need to be pulled if you want to flick the seats down. So if I pull this, you've actually got to push the seat down manually too, like that. And I'll do the same with the other side. I'll show you what it looks like. So you've got to pull that first. It doesn't flop down by itself, and then just pull the seat down like that. Then you've got a bit more access, as you can see, through to the middle row there, or the second row. Okay, so it's got an automatic shut and then a lock function as well. That's quite handy for if you're bringing shopping in, or if you want to take stuff out quickly and then head on to your way, you can press the button there to lock the boot and lock the car at the same time. And some more lights up the top here over the spoiler. Okay, so walking around this side now, the charge port is on the back right quadrant. A bit unusual. Most EVs that I reviewed actually are either at the front or in the back left corner. The EGMP cars are a bit unusual that way. Not as good for supercharging one day when the Tesla supercharging network opens up to everyone. Not as convenient. But I've noticed that the charge port, and in general the styling and the interior has certainly taken more cues from the Genesis GV60 rather than the Ioniq 5. So I think they've gone more that way rather than towards the Ioniqs. Anyway, charge port is a big round circle, push to open. And then from here you can see the indicator lights to see how much charge you've got. We've got about 30% charge at the moment. And then you've got the interior here where you've got the Type 2 connector or plug, and then this hard plastic to cover the DC portion of the CCS2 plug. Like that. And that goes in easy. I quite like that, covering the DC portion, because most of the time we're AC charged, so it's good to protect the DC part. And then you shut it like this. Okay. All right, and I think that's pretty much it. A bit of a tail fin there, and then you've got a glass powered sunroof, which we'll go inside and have a look at. It just covers the front row really, or the glass part is the front row. The back is just the roof. And then as we walk back around, that's pretty much it. That is the Hyundai Ioniq 6 walk-around exterior. And I'll show you the front really quickly as well before we go inside to have a look. So latch here, pull open, old style ice bonnet. You've got to pull this, yep, the latch there as well. And inside they have included for me to use a 10 amp charger. And also I would assume this is the V2L external adapter. Yes it is, we'll try that as well. Okay, and I suppose you can either put your charge cables here or you can put it at the back. Here you can put some water bottles or maybe some devices, I guess. It's pretty shallow front or bonnet area. And then some more exposed elements for the mechanism for the car. And then you've got washer fluid there. So hopefully that's the only thing you'll have to change for an EV. And then to shut the bonnet, just let it shut like this. There we go. Okay, that's it. Let's take a look inside. Okay, so we are in the cockpit, the driver's seat, and let's do a little pan around of the view that I've got here. So, you know, it's an eGMP car, so they are all very similar in appearance, really. So you've got the front screens there, one for the driver, one for the main area. Instrument clusters, we've gone through that in our drive. And then we've got the, you know, settings and audio and infotainment stuff in the middle there. Those digital side mirrors, we've kind of gone through that on our drive as well. As I said during the drive, it's more tilted in, definitely more of a steep angle. I can still see it from where I am. So I don't know why they did that. Maybe because it looks more like inclusive. It looks like it's part of the car rather than just an add-on like in the Genesis GV60 or the Ioniq 5 Epiq. So as we pan around to the passenger side, I quite like the fact that it's tilted on that side because then I get a better angle because it's more tilted from that perspective. But yeah, no, it does look kind of more integrated with the rest of the car. So that's a good thing. So yeah, like most GMP cars, lots of buttons, lots of dials, which is good, which is, you know, if you like that over like a Tesla, for example, which is more minimalistic, then this is possibly a car for you. So let's start with the driver's side doors. It's funny how they've actually gotten rid of all the controls here on the armrest. Normally it'd be here, right? And I've spent the last week trying to open the window from this side. They're actually in the middle here, so I've had to sort of correct myself each time, use my left hand to wind the windows down or to unlock the doors or to lock the windows or whatever. So that's just something you have to get used to if you buy this car. And so I guess because of that, you've now got this huge area to, I don't know what you can store in there, to be honest. Anyway, it's a long sort of storage area. All right, so back here you've got memory for seat controls, 1 and 2. I'm not sure whether there's metal or plastic these days, but it's certainly got that trim, that chrome trim. I'll just hold the camera now. So I'll just come down here. So this is what I use to open the front right here. Yep, latch. So it looks very much like an ice bonnet latch. And then they've actually placed the park brake here, the charge port button there, boot holding button to open the boot, traction control off and on, side mirrors, you can shut the wing mirrors from here, so this button to push. See how that goes in, and then you push that button again to open out, left and right, and then to control it like that. So when you control the side mirrors, let me just show you. So I've got the right button there. And if I control the vision, let me see, okay. So it's actually just the same picture that you control around the picture rather than the mirror tilting itself. So see, that mirror is not, or the camera is not tilting. It's just the picture that's moving around. Just a slight note there. Got some more Ioniq 6 badging on the floor mat. You've got performance pedals, plus minus, it's a nice touch, footrest. And then what I like about the steering area is that they've actually put the gear shifts on this bit here. So they've actually saved space by not putting it in the middle like the Kia EV6, for example, and other eGMP cars. They put it here. I think Ioniq 5 is the same. It's on the side, so that's a bit of a space saver, which is great. More controls on the steering wheel to control the menus of the instrument cluster and also infotainment system. Cruise control here on this side. A leading car toggle as well. You've got paddles for regen braking, left and right, up and down. You can see that there. there's the focus. It's right-hand indicate, being a car of Asian origin, as opposed to European origin, which is on the left-hand side, generally speaking. And then you've got all wipers here, which are rain sensing, which is great. No wipers at the back. Okay, so going around to the rest of the car, again, EGMP cars are just a variation of the theme each time. So we saw in the Kia EV6, it's just basically a touchpad which you can switch between controlling the infotainment system versus controlling the climate control. So in this situation for the Ioniq 6 and also Ioniq 5, it's basically just climate control for the touchpad, and then you've got buttons for the infotainment system. So just a variation again. But again, all EGMP cars have this sort of center area. Pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I would say about the climate controls here is that you cannot control the seat heaters quickly by pressing something here. You've actually got to press the button there. That brings up this on the screen, then you've got to fiddle with it. So that's one thing that's probably a bit inconvenient compared to the Kia EV6, for example. Then there's different levels of auto, the usual demisters, climate control that could be split between driver and passenger side, and then all the things here for the infotainment system. Let's have a look at the screen now. So I won't go through each control, but I will show you a couple of things. So you can actually flick on this side between the different media and if you want a compass or the time, for example, or your calendar or the weather. That's quite convenient. And then on this side you've got EV stats, so your battery state of charge, your range remaining there with or without AC. You can set your charging time, which we saw earlier, and then you've got V2L controls as well. And then you've got a whole bunch of stuff here you can control. Again, like I said before in other GMP reviews, I'm not a huge fan of this menu. It's a little bit tricky to navigate and to find things, but I guess it does take time to get used to. I will show you some settings here for the vehicle. So there's some safety vehicle settings there, which you can go through. And then some EV settings as well, which we went through, setting your charge limit and time, and also how strong you want your regen as well. And also one more thing too is the drive active sound design. So if you want your car to sound like a quote-unquote old car or real car, then you can make it sound like a car. So let me just turn it on. Oop, sorry. Okay, it's 5, sorry. So if I flick my car to drive, okay, you can kind of hear that low tone there. So that's, if you don't want a quiet car, you can have an augmented sound like that. So back to park. I'll turn it off. I don't like that, to be honest. Okay, and because I don't like the infotainment system, you can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which I often do for EGMP cars. That way I've got my own settings from my phone, which I can project onto the screen. All right, let's keep going around this car now. So air conditioning vents, got this nice trim here. Again, a lot more detail in the GMP cars compared to, say, a Tesla. So if you like that detail, like the trim, this might be for you. It's very clear. It's a Bose sound system. I think this is only available in the high-end variants, for example, the Epiq, which I'm driving right now. So I think there's quite a few speakers around. So down here, we've got the glove box, this drawer configuration. There we go. And lots of storage as well. So on the passenger side, you've got storage bin. I guess you can put a water bottle, just not a drink, but a water bottle you can slide in that diagonally shaped hole there. And up here, got the visors. It's fairly standard. Ticket holder, mirror, comes around here. Same for the passenger side. The lighting's really good in the GMP cars. I quite like the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 lighting. Looks quite nice in the dark. And then you've got the powered sunroof, which is something, again, Tesla does not have, which is quite nice, I think. And then, there you go, it opens out as well. As I said earlier in the walk around outside, it's only just limited to the front row. You've got this netting as well, this bug guard up the top there. Show you the bug guard. Okay, and then to shut it again, just press this button here. There we go. Okay, all right. I forgot to say too that on my walk around that this car, this Epiq variant, is actually the highest variant, highest trim for the Ioniq 6. It's $88,000 MSRP before on roads. And it's probably most comparable to the long-range Model 3 or Model Y, and they are $74,000 for the Model 3, and $82,000 for the Model Y. So more expensive than the equivalents for Tesla. Acceleration 5.1 seconds for 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, and 519 kilometers of WLTP range for a 74 kilowatt hour usable battery range. And we'll certainly go through those specs, especially when comparing it to Tesla later on in this video. And one more thing to show you before we head to the second row, USB-A port here for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is not wireless, it is wired. And wireless phone charging here as well. Cup holders. We've talked about this before, all the controls here that would normally sit in the armrest. Now here, window controls, lock, unlock, auto hold for hill hold at a traffic light, for example. Nice little storage area here, which I put my garage door controller, and then some more USB charging ports here. I'm not really sure why these are in here. I don't know what you put in there. And Joyce just mentioned that you can, for example, this is a USB-A port, I know, but if you had a USB-C plug there, you can, stick it in and then shut it like that, and still the wire still comes out there. So there you go. Thank you, Joy. Just want to show you also the seat control here. There's some buttons here you can push if you want to control the passenger seat. So if you want to reach something in the back here, for example, from the driver's seat, you can push the seat forward and back like that. Sorry, Joey. But that's one way to control the passenger seat from the driver's seat. Okay, so some more badging here, Ioniq 6. And also, look, powered seat controls, something that was lacking in the high-performance Kia EV6 GT. So yeah, some nice buttons there to push for your seat control. And yes, the seats are ventilated as well, so nice for those hot summer days in Australia. Okay, so we're in the second row now, and the rear windows are tinted, which is nice, a bit more privacy. I do like the lighting, as I said many times already. You can turn on and off like that. The door's got to be shut to be automatic. But yeah, really nice sort of white LED lights. And look, it's quite nice. The seats are sort of low profile, makes the car look quite elegant. And also you've got the netting behind here for storage. And I'll just show you how tall the seats are as well, or how tall the roof is compared to my height. So I'm 5'9", 175 centimeters, one fist between the roof, or actually not even one, probably, yeah, half a fist between the roof and my head. And then we've got the pull down here in the center, like that. Cup holders, nice armrest. Actually quite roomy at the back here. It's nice. Flat floor because it's a ground up EV, which I love. And more USB charging ports here at the back, USB-C. Storage cabin, cubby down here. And then you've got vents here for AC as well. And just show this bit down here. So more sort of chrome trim for the door handles and window controls. Seat heaters at the back. More Bose speakers, and also more storage here for another water bottle. Okay, so this car is definitely a sedan. It's lower down than an SUV, so just watch me sort of hopping into the car, or rather sinking into the car, just something to note. So with the EV6, you're sort of sliding in. With the Model Y, you slide in or even climb up. Or the Ioniq 5, same thing, you climb up. But with the Ioniq 6, because it's a sedan, you sort of have to sort of sink in a little bit. And yes, I made that sound to get in. But yeah, that's how you enter the car. And you are sitting obviously lower to the road, or lower compared to the road than most SUVs. And yes, you sink in as well to the Model 3. So again, this car is very much competing with the Tesla Model 3 in more ways than one. And finally, to finish the review for the walk around and look around, is the fact that I love the storage down here. In GMP cars, it's so spacious. Like, as a content creator, I love putting my cameras and media and stuff down here, and all my equipment. So yeah, and also I guess good for takeaway too, and shopping and whatnot. But
12 volt.
Yeah, oh there you go, there's a 12 volt, thanks Joy. 12 volt connector down here, so yep, super convenient. Yeah, so this is what I like. You can't slide across in the like in the Ioniq 5 or the Genesis GV60. It's just this one big piece like that, but good to have that storage space there. Okay, so we're just testing out the V2L or vehicle to load internal plug here in the second row of the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And there it is, green light, that means it's working. And then following the wire up here to this charge box, red means it's also working, and it's currently charging the scooter in the back there. Okay, so same deal using that V2L vehicle to load external adapter we saw earlier in the front bonnet or frunk. There it is, the same scooter charging cable plugged in, and just going into the boot once again. There's the scooter, and there is the charging box, and it is definitely red, so it is charging, and there's the scooter. Good to know it works. Okay, so here are the specifications and pricing comparisons between the Hyundai Ioniq 6 Epiq all-wheel drive variant, which I had for the week, compared to the equivalent Tesla Model 3 long range and also the equivalent Tesla Model Y long range variants. As you can see, the Hyundai Ioniq 6 Epiq is $88,000 MSRP before on roads in Australia, compared to the Tesla Model 3 long range, which starts at $74,300 before on roads, and the Tesla Model Y long range is also cheaper at $82,300 before on roads. 519 kilometers WLTP range for the Hyundai versus 602 kilometers for the Tesla Model 3 long range, and 533 kilometers claimed WLTP for the Tesla Model Y long range. All three cars have a very similar usable battery size, 74 to 75 kilowatt hours. In terms of 0 to 100 km/h acceleration times, the Tesla Model 3 wins out at 4.4 seconds, whereas the Ioniq 6 is 5.1 seconds, versus the Tesla Model Y, which has a claimed acceleration time of 5 seconds flat. Okay, so let's do some comparisons of the Ioniq 6 dimensions against the Ioniq 5 and the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y. Starting with the Ioniq 5, the Ioniq 6 is 22 centimeters longer, 1 centimeter narrower, and 11 centimeters lower when compared to the Ioniq 5. It has a 1.9 centimeter less ground clearance and offers 75% less cargo space. Okay, so comparing it now to the Tesla Model 3, and this is where I found it the most surprising, because the Hyundai Ioniq 6 is actually 16.1 centimeters longer, and this was most evident when I tried to park the Ioniq 6 inside our garage where our Tesla Model 3 used to sit before we traded it in, and yes, it was definitely longer, and there was definitely less room between the front of the car and the rest of the garage. Furthermore, the Ioniq 6 is 3.1 centimeters wider, 5.2 centimeters higher, and has a 7 centimeter longer wheelbase compared to Tesla Model 3. The ground clearance between both vehicles was fairly equivalent, but the Ioniq 6 has 29% less cargo space than the Tesla Model 3. And finally, the Ioniq 6 is 10.5 centimeters longer than the Tesla Model Y, 9.8 centimeters narrower, 12.9 centimeters lower, and has a 6 centimeter longer wheelbase compared to Tesla Model Y. It has 2.6 centimeters less ground clearance and offers 82% less cargo space. Okay, so just give you my final thoughts before we return the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and I literally just did an acceleration test, but I forgot to press the record button on my camera, so all I can show you now is the data from the Racebox app. And as you can see, we managed to get 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.16 seconds with pretty flat ground there, minus 0.2% slope correction. So not too bad. And I had the 1 foot subtracted rollout off as well. So these are true figures and correlates pretty well with the claimed acceleration time from Hyundai for the Ioniq 6. And interestingly, it's not the usual, that flat linear acceleration that you see in a lot of EVs. It does actually tail off a little bit towards the end there, that red line. So that's very interesting. But nevertheless, 5.16 seconds for 0 to 100, and pretty flat ground there, and some G-force there. As you can see, it does tail off after about the 1.5, 1.6 second mark. So there you go. That's some data from Racebox. And now just a summary of the Hyundai Ioniq 6. Now, I didn't get a chance to do a fast charge in Sydney. Unfortunately, there are only 4 350 kilowatt fast chargers in Sydney at the time of posting this video, and 3 of those 4 units were actually out of action. And one of those units that was actually working, it was actually being used quite often. So I didn't want to risk it and go down there and charge have to wait with a low state of charge. So I'll have to test that fast charge again if I get a chance to borrow the Ioniq 6 from Hyundai. And I guess that's the problem with having a non-Tesla vehicle. Sometimes the charging network is not always reliable, unlike Tesla supercharging. There's plenty of 50 kilowatt chargers around town, but I really wanted to test that 18-minute claim from 10 to 80% that Hyundai puts on their website. I've no actual reason to doubt this because I have actually tested the eGMP platform cars before, and we have managed to get a pretty fast charging rate within that 18-minute mark from 10 or 20% to 80%. So I'm pretty sure this eGMP platform car can probably achieve the same as well. Okay, so on to the pros of this vehicle. It's got a unique style, definitely head turner this week I've had the vehicle. It's certainly very different to any other EVs around town at the moment. Had some mixed reactions from laughter from people watching the car go by, all the way down to someone asking me to wind down the window to have a chat about the vehicle at a traffic light. They love the vehicle and they asked about the price as well. So a bit of a mixed bag in terms of reaction. In terms of driving, it's very similar to all the other eGMP cars I've had, as I've said in the review in this video. So if you're used to eGMP cars like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, the Genesis GV60, the Kia EV6, then you'll certainly be very used to driving this vehicle. It's an immaculately built car. Everything is just as it should be. Well built, well put together. All the details are there, so no problems at all. Lots of buttons, lots of dials, lots of tactile instruments that you can touch, unlike other EVs, which are more minimalistic, of course, like Tesla. Lots of modern conveniences, lots of storage bins, V2L, vehicle to load, both internal and external. There's a sunroof as well. So if you like all those things, then this car is certainly for you. Of course, I can't help but compare with a Tesla. That's the car I know the best, of course, in terms of EVs. This is probably the most comparable to a Tesla Model 3 in terms of its size and price. But again, like with most eGMP cars, it really is hard to justify based on the price and other important specs which we've gone through already in this video. It's $13,000 more expensive than the Tesla Model 3 across all the variants. Similar size battery, but less WLTP range as we've gone through, and therefore efficiency is not as good as well. Slower posted acceleration, and the usual non-Tesla concerns such as, Tesla's got an app which is quite good. There's better software in the Tesla platform, which can be updated over the air as well over time. And as you know, I don't quite like the infotainment system in the eGMP cars, but luckily with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you can easily overwrite that and use your preferred settings from your smart devices most of the time. With Tesla, obviously there's no regular service. There is a scheduled servicing through the Hyundai vehicles. So overall, in summary, it's a great car. Honestly, it really is a beautiful car, well put together. I love it. The trim, the detail. I do love the eGMP cars, particularly the Hyundai Genesis platform. And honestly, if you never drive out of town, then really we shouldn't be having this conversation because you can buy whatever car you want. But if you do like to take road trips like our family, then that's why we choose a Tesla, because of the Tesla supercharging network. It's far more convenient to drive in a Tesla than other cars. Buy this car if you want a unique vehicle that is different, will turn heads. But obviously do know that there are concerns, obviously, as we've discussed, compared to a Tesla Model 3, for example. And of course, I understand not everybody wants a Tesla for whatever reason. Philosophically, aesthetically, then this is certainly a viable alternative in the Hyundai Ioniq 6. And obviously, if you prefer a car with more conventional dials, button storage, compartments, V2L, and if you want a sedan and not an SUV, then the Ioniq 6 is certainly something you should be looking at. Okay, so I'm on my way back to Hyundai Australia to return the Ioniq 6, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank Hyundai for always supporting the channel and providing us with loan vehicles, whether it be a Hyundai or a Genesis. I really appreciated it over the last few years. So thank you guys and girls for all your support. It's been an incredible week with the Ioniq 6. I've really enjoyed driving it and testing it for you all. Hope you've enjoyed this review. And look, it's a great car, honestly. And if you do get a chance, make sure you head out to your local Hyundai for a test drive, and you'll see exactly what I mean with all the points that I've made so far in this video. All right, well, take care, everyone. And until the next Ludicrous Feed video, as always, happy charging.